I'm back. Rudrance for the Black and White Network. Well, we've got more Hollywood elite hypocrisy, and I've got to be honest with you. I'm sort of surprised on this one. Samuel L. Jackson coming out, being heavily critical of Joe Rogan. Of course, Joe Rogan, some leftists out there put together the greatest hits compilation of Joe Rogan ever having used the N-word. And of course, Joe Rogan came out and he got down on bended knee to apologize. But he was very clear about one thing. He said, look, this little greatest hit compilation they put together was all out of context. And, you know, he explained why he had used the word. I don't like the word, but the fact is, he said he was trying to tell stories, et cetera, on his podcast. Come out and said he would never do it again. Now comes out one of my favorite actors, sort of a heavyweight champion of using the N-word. Yeah, he uses it, as we know, like every fourth word in every Quentin Tarantino movie ever made. I love Quentin Tarantino. I do. Love his movies. He's my second favorite director. But Samuel L. Jackson has come out and he's being very critical of Joe Rogan over the use of the word, the N-word, and says it's not about context, which is odd, and we'll get to the hypocrisy of that bullshit in just a minute. Let's get to this article first to talk about what Sam Jackson had to say. It just don't make any sense. It just doesn't, coming from Sam Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson has weighed in on the controversy surrounding Joe Rogan after resurfaced footage. No, it was a blatant hit, okay? It was a blatant hit, let's be honest. Controversy surrounding Joe Rogan after resurfaced footage showed the podcaster using the N-word multiple times. Earlier this month, Grammy Award winner India Araria, I don't know what her name is, called out Rogan for his language around race. The musician posted a compilation of clips that showed Rogan using the N-word 22 times in previous episodes of his hugely popular podcast. By the way, he's got something in the neighborhood of 1,785 episodes. Just throwing that out there. Following the backlash to the video, Rogan apologized for using the racial slur, calling it, quote, the most regretful and shameful thing I've ever had to talk about publicly, but he insisted he's not a racist. By the way, he's had 1 million black people at this point come out and co-sign him and talk about how good a dude he is and how much he's not a racist. Quote, I know for most people there's no context where a white person is allowed to say that word, and I agree with that now, he said. I haven't said it for years. I thought as long as I was in context, people would understand what I was doing. In the interview with The Times, Jackson said it was, quote, wrong for Rogan to use the slur. He is saying nobody understood the context when he said it, said the actor who the interviewer notes was rolling his eyes. But he shouldn't have said it. It's not the context, dude. It's that he was comfortable doing it. Say you're sorry because you want to keep your money, but you were having fun, and you say you did it because it was entertaining. Asked whether Rogan's use of the N-word lacked context, the 73-year-old replied, it needs to be an element of what the story is about. A story is context, but just to elicit a laugh, that's wrong. Okay, well, you're out here, you're criticizing Joe Rogan. Let's talk about this. Samuel L. Jackson on Tarantino's use of the N-word. Let's get around to this hypocrisy because it's pretty unbelievable. Quote, I effing love Steven. Talking about Steven, the character from Django Unchained. Jackson said about the character, a loyal house slave to the film's villainous plantation owner, Calvin J. Candy. Quote, I mean, the dude ran that fucking plantation. Candyland was a plantation. Leo's out there fighting N-words and doing whatever, running the strip club. Dude's writing the bills. Steven is making sure the crops get planted. He's making sure the slaves get sold. He runs that. He ain't really got no kids of his own because he doesn't have time for that. But Leo was basically his kid. And Candyland is in his world. He knows outside of Candyland, he's just another inn on the plantation. Now, let's get to this. Jackson talking about his love for Steven brought the conversation to Tarantino's controversial use of the N-word. The director has long since been criticized for filling his screenplays with the racial slur, most aggressively in Django. Tarantino's script featured the N-word 110 times. Jamie Foxx previously defended Tarantino's use of the word in the film, and Jackson was even more outspoken about letting Tarantino write the way Tarantino wants to write. Quote, "It's some bullshit." Jackson said about the criticism lobbied at the director. "When we did Pulp, I warned Quentin about the whole in storage. I was like, don't say in storage." He's like, "No, I'm not going to say it like that." And we tried to soften it by making his wife black. But that wasn't originally written. But you can't just tell a writer he can't talk, write words, put the words in the mouths of the people from their ethnicities the way they use their words. You can't do that because then it becomes an untruth. It's not honest, just not honest. And he goes on to talk about that when he's actually doing these movies, particularly Quentin Tarantino movies, he goes out of his way to include more N-words. But the point is, you're fine and dandy with your homeboy, Quentin Tarantino, using the N-word like it's going out of style, particularly when making those movies. And in those movies, they are used in context. I don't condone use of the word at all. But it's all over the place. Let's be real. Okay, it's in every rap song ever. And 70% of people that buy rap music are white people. That's always been a thing. Not one rapper is willing to give back 1 red cent over those albums and those songs that they happily sold to white people. Let's be real. Not one of them would give any of that money back at all. And the fact that he's calling out Joe Rogan, but he's good and he's fine and he's dandy with his boy Quentin Tarantino, that is the pure definition of hypocrisy on this bullshit. I'm shocked Samuel L. Jackson came out and acted like he was appalled by this. It's flooring. It's the one guy I would have thought F that BS. Because so many black people have, when it has come to Joe Rogan, they have come out and said, this is nonsense. I mean, UFC champion came out, 2 weeks ago? We did a video on it. And was like, F them BS's trying to get Joe canceled over this crap. We know what kind of a person Joe is, and he's not a racist. Well, now we got Samuel Jackson. I mean, now all of a sudden, Samuel Jackson's following prototypical leftist playbooks. Sam Jackson just went super woke on our ass. All right. Tell me what you think, Black and White Network fans. Look, I don't like the word used at all. Rogan went out there, said, hey, my bad, shouldn't have done it, was saying it in context, telling stories, which, by the way, is what Quentin Tarantino does. He puts it all over his movies, including white people using the word. Let's be real. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.